After the Bitcoin halving, we got certain problems in the network that are still unresolved. Miners suffer huge losses and are forced to sell more cryptocurrency than mine. Is it possible that all the major miners exit the game? Glad to welcome you to the Coin Post channel. Have you heard the theory of how Bitcoin was eager for a new maximum price, but greedy miners crashed the market because, you see, they have no money to pay for electricity? However, in the long run, they just hurt themselves. Hence, I have a question. Are we really facing the capitulation of miners, or is it a fight for the market? Therefore, today I suggest we discuss how has Bitcoin mining changed after the third halving in its history on May 11th. Why did miners begin to sell cryptocurrency? And we'll also talk about what's gonna happen if industrial mining shuts down. This one was suggested by one of our viewers, and I find it interesting enough to sort it out in the video. You can also share your ideas and questions in the comments, and then you might find them in the following videos. Join our community, subscribe to the channel. Let's begin. So it happened, and the block reward dropped to 6.25 BTC. Probably the most critical question now is what to mine on, and as the block's research shows, the two most profitable ASICs are Whatsminer M30S Double Plus by MicroBT and Antminer S19 Pro by Bitmain. I'd say that this assessment was carried out at a Bitcoin price of $9,700. And now the profit of both devices has significantly decreased. But they are the best what the industry has to offer. You'd expect that after the Bitcoin halving, we got certain problems in the network that are still unresolved. So on May 17th, a kind of anti-record was set, when the miners got a total of 95 blocks a day instead of the 144. No surprise that with such performance, they had heavy traffic in the blockchain, which didn't happen for a long time. The current mempool workload is still high. Miners are trying to manipulate with the drop in difficulty and increase the hash rate right after it. But in fact, they are failing. Therefore, the number of confirmed transactions per day is going down. The bottom line is, the Bitcoin network cannot fully recover from the consequences of the halving, and the reason may be that the miners refuse to leave the market. After all, they could have shut off a long time ago, give the difficulty to decrease significantly, and keep working at an acceptable level. Instead, if we look at the network's difficulty over the past 30 days, we'll see it's gone down dramatically. And here's the same chart, but for the last year. And here you can clearly see that the difficulty of the network didn't even think to fall. At best, this could be called the hit the plateau situation, as they say in the media now, though for a completely different reason. The situation with the hash rate is similar. We kinda went down, based on a peak of 136 exahashes per second immediately before the halving. But in annual terms, the Bitcoin network has significantly gained, and it's nowhere near what should have happened after the block reward dropped twice. So it turns out that the miners are working hard, and on the news, they are surrendering. How's that possible? Coming up. After the halving, there was no significant redistribution in the power of the network between big players. China clearly remains the leader in Bitcoin mining on an industrial scale, and three local mining pools, F2 Pool, Ant Pool, and BTS.com, hold more than 50% of the hash rate. Basically, everyone is used to that. And what's interesting is that their performance is not yet going down, even though the financial administrative of the Sichuan in China has issued a notice to its subordinate offices ordering them to guide mining entities to end their mining activities in an orderly manner. According to media reports, miners love this region because of cheap hydropower. Still, now they have the drought, and therefore the freebie is temporarily over. It's likely that instead of shutting off, miners temporarily agreed to pay more for electricity, and therefore the hash rate did not drop. But why do they make such sacrifices? Our best guess is that miners suffer huge losses and are forced to sell more cryptocurrency than mine. So during the week before May 25th, they sold 955 more bitcoins than they mined. It's necessary in order to pay operational costs to support the mining farm's operation. But the more sales, the lower the price, and it turns out that in the long run, miners do only worse. And the fact that they are forced to sell is confirmed by the Bitcoin difficulty ribbon. It shrank again, and it's, by the way, considered a good time to buy. Here you, my dear viewer, might want to stop the video and ask me to explain how come miners dump the price, but it's an excellent opportunity to buy. I'd like to do this myself, and here's what we get. After the price goes down under the pressure of sales, weak miners leave the market, and those who stay receive comfortable working conditions. That is, they mine much more bitcoins than they need to service mining farms. Thus, a shortage of new bitcoins appears on the market, and demand pushes the price up. I hope it all makes sense. You can always play it back and listen to it again. But what else can force miners to sell bitcoins except paying for electricity? It could be competition, and this is what they talked about before the halving. Big miners can intentionally dump Bitcoin to redivide the market after the halving, taking even more hash rate. And to my mind, this scenario can also be related to current sales under the guise of capitulation. A small lyrical digression to tell you that since you watched the video to this point, you might have already subscribed to our channel, or you're ready to do it right now, and I'll make up for each of your likes with new fresh content. Thank you all for your support. And we're moving on to the next question from a subscriber about the mining shutdown. So, you must know the structure of Bitcoin mining. If you're not interested, you can leave and let the other viewers increase their profit. Such a simple and, at the same time, brilliant way means that mining, by its nature, cannot stop completely. As a last resort, we get back to the fact that we will be doing it again on desktop computers, as once Satoshi and the very first miners did. We also see that the third Bitcoin halving couldn't ward off the attention to the first cryptocurrency from large industrial miners. But what's going to happen after the fourth halving and after the fifth? After all, the reward for the block gets smaller each time. We don't know whether the price rise will compensate for further work. What if not? What if today's huge mining farms eventually turn into abandoned hangars with a bunch of rusty equipment? Let's say that in Mission Impossible 12, the old Tom Cruise restarts one of these hangars to attack the Bitcoin network and cancel the transaction from an evil hacker who decided to destroy the global financial system. How do you like such a scenario for a blockbuster? They could really make one. Could it be that many industrial miners go bankrupt and leave the business? Or even more, is it possible that all the major miners exit the game? In fact, it's likely to happen. Not tomorrow, of course, but perhaps in 8 or 12 years. And this doesn't mean that Bitcoin will be worth a penny. At that time, prices like $100,000 or $20,000 per coin may turn out to be small. It's the block reward that will be too small and unreasonable to mine on an industrial scale. And perhaps it will be okay, because then almost every user will have a couple of ASICs at home, and it will help maintain the network. Finally, real decentralization will come, and let them work in the red. But you still charge your smartphone from the outlet and pay the bills? The same could happen to Bitcoin. If you want to use it, if you want to control your finances, then be kind to take on certain expenses. I'm not saying that it will be so, but I'm sharing my opinion on the question that has been asked. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. It's the Coin Post channel. Subscribe and get enlightened.